Evocation is the act of attempting to conjure spirits into some form of vessel, usually, or around your circle for a conversation. This can be to gain information, or more likely to get them and employ them into doing things you want them to do. Angels and demons are the most common forms of evocation, with the two most popular, at least in the modern day, forms of evocation being the Lesser Key of Solomon's Goetia, and usually what I see online is the drawing spirits into crystals method of Johannes Trithemius, more commonly remembered as the teacher of Agrippa. That being said, today we're going to go over some of the various differences for angelic and demonic evocation. I am Dave, the Amateur Magus. On this channel I talk all about the mechanics behind ceremonial magic, occultism, esotericism, and the mechanics behind everything you can find within a dusty old grimoire. If you enjoy the videos and you enjoy what I do here on the channel, please go down to the Patreon link in the description below. Subscribe over on the Patreon where you get exclusive access such as early access, Patreon-specific videos, and the Occultic Manual series, which is a monthly write-up that is more advanced than what I have here on the channel, but more approachable than, say, an old grimoire, which I usually talk about on the channel. And if you are already watching this on Patreon, you have my thanks for your continued and ongoing support. Let's talk about the difference between demons and angelic evocation, shall we? Now, demons are usually what most people are going to find as the gateway towards magical evocation. This is because the most popular, by far, the most popular book on evocation is the Ars Goetia. And this is for an interesting reason. It is not for a reason that I particularly am a fan of, but it's because it lays everything out properly. It gives all of the power sets of the demonic kings, princes, principals, dukes, barons, all of the various different hierarchy, the important people in hell, and it explains why you would call them up in the first place. It has demons for whom 71 of them, of the 72, have actually very well put together and, generally speaking, well-established catalogs. And over the years, since the Ars Goetia has been published, there is a slew of information that has come out, especially in the internet age, where we have evocation reports on all of these demonic entities and these demonic forces that are quite good. The evocation reports range from, I am somebody who is very sympathetic to the demons, to I'm a ceremonial magician. An evocation report being kind of a transcript or kind of a report of what is going on and what happened in the evocation. And you know what? This is always good to have. Now, the evocation report should have a couple of important things. These are going to be your tests. What tests did you decide to use? They should be all of your questions, all of the answers. Now, interestingly enough, I usually, when I'm doing my evocations, I will physically write down the answers like I am transcribing, and I will listen to the spirits. I've actually gotten yelled at for not having my book and paper when I'm going to go through. And the reason why I like to write it mid-evocation is because, generally speaking, I find that if I'm writing it mid-evocation, I am paying attention to the spirit, and it doesn't matter how bad my handwriting is under the candles. As long as it's being written down, I'll usually remember what was said. I have had certain cases where if it is a particularly strange wording, I will not be able to read it, but that's because I'm not really focusing on the writing. I'm focusing on getting the information down into the book and listening to what the spirit is saying. And I will usually establish that I'm going to do this before we get into the actual questions, just to make sure the spirit knows why I have a book and a piece of paper out and I'm flipping pages as I'm listening to it talk. It's not a symbol of rudeness, but I like to establish that in advance. Now, there's a couple major differences because calling up angels and calling up demons, which demons are going to usually be the more difficult to call because demons don't want to talk to people. Angels also don't want to talk to people, but angels usually have a better relationship with humanity than demons do, mostly because demons kind of have to listen to humanity due to various different magical and spiritual laws, which might actually be completely misremembered by humanity, but they are passed down as demons gotta listen to us. We don't really know why, but we have various different stories for explaining it, and that's the reason why. Now, demon evocation is going to be very, it's dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. It's easier if you do know what you're doing. Depending on which book you are using, depending on which different book you are using, traditionally you're going to be using the Ars Goetia, but you might be using the Pseudomachia Daemonum. Whatever grimoire you're using is going to have a step-by-step instruction manual. Now, granted, it will be out of order, but it will be a step-by-step guide on how to call up the various different demonic forces using usually some kind of scrying medium, usually in a triangle, some kind of threatening device to get the spirit to know you mean business. This is going to be the magical sword or the spear in the Lesser Key of Solomon. And generally you're going to have magical attire, and this is going to be like the ring and the, in the Abra Melon, they have the crown and the robes. These are all going to be important. Now, this is mostly going to be for commanding authority over the spirit, and it is going to be commanding the presence and making sure that it doesn't try anything, because some demons are actually quite dangerous. However, at the same time, those dangerous demons usually you wouldn't call if you don't know what you're doing. The main role of demons is be firm, don't be a dick, and don't call them up for stupid reasons. If you're going to be calling up a demon, you should make it so that whatever you are calling up the demon for is worth their time, and vice versa. You shouldn't be just calling up a demon to say hi. Maybe even if you're calling up a demon of the future and you want to know that, that would be a worthwhile reason for the demon to show up. I'm just doing this for academic research is not a good reason. Now, generally speaking, the reason why you would call up a demon, and this is asked quite a few times, why would you ever call up a demon? Angels can do all the stuff demons can, can't they? Well, most of the things. Generally speaking, demons can do everything, and they don't have to deal with higher authorities other than the other higher-ranking members of Hell. Now, when I say Hell here, I want you to realize that I'm referring to the demonic hierarchy in general, not necessarily the Judeo-Christian Hell. I'm just referring to the demonic hierarchy as the kingdom of Hell, more generally. However, the other type of spirit you can call up is going to be the angelic choirs. Now, the angelic choirs are going to be including everything ranging from the archangels, Michael, Michael, if you prefer, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel, or Ariel, depending on your pronunciation. And these are going to be the archangels of the quarters, but there's also Cassiel, Sachiel, Haniel, Kamiel, and there's plenty of other archangels. Now, the thing about angels is usually they are summoned in regards to something else. And what I mean here is they're not usually called up specifically for their own particular profile. They're usually called up as the archangel of X or Y, with the sole exception of Raphael and Michael. Usually, in my experience, I will see those two called up in because Michael is the best spirit for protection, just flat out, and Raphael is the angel of healing. Generally speaking, the archangels at the very least are going to be called up as Archangel of Water, Archangel of Fire, Archangel of Mars, Archangel of Venus, Archangel of the Sphere of Gevura, etc. And this is going to go throughout the entirety of the archangels at the very least. Now, generally speaking, these are going to be called up primarily using the LBRP if you're doing the simple archangels of the quarters, or some form of angelic evocation method similar to the drawing spirits into crystals method from Johannes Trithemius. Now, this is the version that I've modified myself, and the reason why this is so popular is because it's so simple and effective. It is a very simple, it's a very stripped down system. All you really need to do is make a table, make a wand, and you consecrate a housing for the actual spirit. And you kind of direct the angel into the crystal using the wand. Now, this also has layman's and different rules for when you can call up the angel and it follows basic planetary hours rules. It tells you what hour is belonging to which angel and what day belongs to which angel. This is where we commonly get the lineup for most, if not all, of the 7 planetary angels, I would say. And now, generally speaking, it's kind of assumed you know why you would call up the various different types of angels. Specifically, if you're going to be calling up one of the angels, it assumes you know what the planetary days, at least the planetary hours are, and what those planets symbolize in at least medieval astrology. Now, when it comes to actually calling up the angels, generally speaking, most people are going to go with the Trithemius method just because it is so tried and tested, or some modified variant of it. You can use whatever different version of the evocation system of your choosing you prefer. However, generally speaking, most Western systems are going to recommend you call up angels first, as long as they're right-hand path. But there's more than just the archangels, and I'd be remiss if I didn't at least touch on the 72 angels that everyone knows about. You see, the 72 angels that most people know about are going to be the angels of the Shem-Ham-Farash, which can be most commonly just evoked using the psalm verse that their name is derived from. Their name is derived from Agrippa. He gives an entire method of delineating angel names in that book, and he uses it for the angels of the 72. Now, Agrippa did not originate these angels. However, Agrippa put them in the 3 books. I'm attributing it to Agrippa because I don't know the earlier source. That's why I'm doing that. Now, from my experience, the angels of the Shem-Ham-Farash don't show up in a solid human form, unlike the archangels. They will usually show up as an orb, but that is for me, though. Some people have claimed that they just show up as kind of just an angelic person in white robes with the occasional light-made angel wings, which is usually different from demons, because demons, even when I see modern reports of demons, demons are showing up for most people that I've seen as either monsters or just directly skipping to the part where they show up as humans, or humanoid at the very least. Usually they'll show up as some anthropomorphization of the demonic figure mentioned in whatever book you are seeing. Angels, for the most part, are just going to show up as people regardless, but demons might need a little bit of prep. Now, what are the main differences between angels and demons? From every evocation report I have seen and all of the different accounts that I have seen, demons are usually going to be more mischievous. They're going to be more prone to malicious compliance, as you would call it, where they give you exactly what you want, but they do it in a way that you don't want. Angels are generally speaking going to try to do things in harmony. That being said, the biggest difference between angels and demons is that angels, usually archangels, are going to be slower than demons are. Demons don't have to wait around and figure out what the entire angelic hierarchy has in God's plan to make whatever request you want work. Demons just go out and do it. Demons do not care about the collateral damage, they just care about, let's make this happen. Demons will also be more prone to say, hey, you're breaking protocol. Or, hey, you're doing this thing wrong. Why don't you have these kind of candles? Why do you have these kind of candles? To try to, mess with the practitioner, mess with the evoker in order to get them to not be as confident. Depending on the particular demon, they will do this in order to mess with the confidence of the evoker and get them to kind of, oh, well, I guess I have to redo it, that kind of thing. Usually if you get 1 or 2 minor things wrong, it's not a big deal. As long as you're not forgetting, the circle or the triangle or something like that. Usually angels will try to meet you where you're at, and angels are a lot more forgiving of mistakes because angels have no vested interest in screwing with a practitioner unless they know that you know something is wrong and they know that you know how to fix it and it wouldn't be a big deal. Now, it should be noted that when it comes to who is more powerful, angels are more powerful, but demons are closer to physical reality, which is why they are quicker and appear more powerful. They also follow less rules. It's kind of the difference between Who is more effective? The guy who's already on the job and is not following any regulations versus the paid engineer who has to follow all the regulations. Well, the paid engineer is going to be better than the guy who is right there jury-rigging things, but at the same time, the guy who is right there jury-rigging things can get it done faster if he knows what he's doing, and if you're calling up a demon, which you are in this analogy, then he knows what he's doing. But the engineer is obviously going to have a much easier time doing it, and it's going to be done in a much better way, following all of the restrictions that they have to follow under the, supernal OSHA. So yeah, I have been Dave the Amateur Magus. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what I do here, Patreon in the description. Hope everyone is having a good day. If you're not having a good day, hope your day gets better. Take it easy. Take care.